6 amazing flirting tips to charm any woman. Never overdo this. Hello everyone. Do you ever find yourself doubting your flirting abilities because you feel unsure about how to approach any woman, especially the one you truly like? Do you cringe at your own behavior after a conversation with her, or perhaps you avoid flirting altogether because it feels so uncomfortable? If you answered yes to any of these questions, rest assured you are not alone. Many men struggle with this. The reality is that while some individuals seem to have a natural talent for flirting with women, this skill does not come easily to most people, regardless of gender. Even if you are generally confident around women, when it comes to your crush, the one who really captures your heart, you might find yourself at a loss for words. But don't worry. If you're finding flirting to be a challenge, by the end of this video, you will learn 6 effective strategies to enhance your flirting skills, along with one crucial aspect you should avoid overdoing. If you're new to my channel, welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. Let's dive into these tips, starting from the least important and building up to the most essential one. Tip number 6 is all about confidence. This may not come as a surprise, but it's a vital component of flirting. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, learning how to flirt with women requires a certain level of confidence. The good news is that confidence is a skill that can be developed. I'll share a quick confidence hack with you shortly, but remember, the more you project confidence, even if you don't fully feel it yet, the quicker you will start to embody that feeling. Let's explore the connection between our physiology and psychology. It's important to understand that our physical state can influence our mental state and vice versa. What do I mean by this? I'm glad you asked. Essentially, even if you don't feel confident, if you act as though you are, your body will begin to adopt that feeling, and over time, you will genuinely start to believe in your own confidence. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. I'll provide you with more tips on how to build confidence in a natural and effortless way. However, it's crucial to note that successfully building confidence, like any other skill, requires you to take action that may feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar. It's not enough to just think about it, you need to practice. Here's a simple yet effective exercise: stand up straight, pull your shoulders back, and take up space. This is where the physiological aspect comes into play. When you adopt this posture, you send a message to your brain that you are confident. You might not fully believe it at first, but you will notice a significant difference in how you feel when you stand tall compared to when you hunch over and try to shrink away. I challenge you to try this right now. Additionally, work on minimizing fidgeting. Fidgeting can make you appear nervous, which can, in turn, make you feel more anxious. If you find it difficult to stop fidgeting, consider placing your hands in your pockets until you feel calm enough to use them expressively. Stay tuned for tip number 4, where I will share another confidence-building strategy that will help you feel more at ease. Appearing confident without going overboard is key. Number 5 on the list can feel quite daunting for many men: making and holding eye contact. I completely understand, this one can be really intimidating. Imagine you spot a woman you're interested in, or maybe it's someone you already know and like. You catch her eye, and she notices you looking at her. What do you do next? Most guys instinctively look away quickly because they don't want to come across as creepy or like a stalker. However, this reaction often signals a lack of confidence. Instead, if you can summon the courage to hold her gaze for about 3 seconds, which might feel like an eternity when you're nervous, she will interpret that as a sign of confidence and genuine interest. It's important she knows you're interested. To make this less intimidating than just staring her down, try this: when she locks eyes with you, respond with a nod, a smile, or a casual wave. If you already know her and she keeps eye contact, especially if you suspect she might be interested but aren't sure, you could even try a wink. Use the wink only if you're feeling bold and confident, and if you're certain it won't make things awkward or harm your relationship, particularly in public or social settings where a misread signal could be uncomfortable. If you do wink, laugh quietly to yourself. It's a bit cheeky and shows you're playful. Adding a smile, nod, or wave softens the intensity of those 3 seconds and makes the interaction feel natural rather than creepy. If she responds positively, maybe she blushes, smiles, or giggles, return her smile or laugh softly as if you're amused by her reaction. This kind of confident response makes her more likely to want to engage with you. But don't just keep staring, instead, take the next step by walking over to her or inviting her to come talk to you. Eye contact is a subtle yet powerful way to captivate her attention and communicate your interest confidently. Let her catch you looking. It works whether she's a stranger or someone you've had a crush on for a long time. This can even shift the dynamic if you've been stuck in the friend zone for too long. If you can approach this with a playful attitude, it naturally leads to tip number 4, humor. Flirting is really about creating sexual tension in a fun, light-hearted, and non-threatening way. Save the mysterious, brooding bad boy act for later, once you've already built trust and she feels comfortable with you, and you want to deepen the connection. For now, just be playful, easygoing, and not too intense. This approach will get you much further with a high-value woman, no matter her age. That said, there are some important guidelines when it comes to using humor. For example, don't overdo the jokes. If you try too hard to be funny, it can come off as desperate and actually kill her attraction. Also, be cautious with self-deprecating humor. While humility can be attractive, making fun of yourself too much, especially early on or in a joking way, can signal that you don't value yourself. My advice is to only use self-deprecating humor when you're joking about something positive or endearing about yourself. Avoid making jokes about things that could be seen as genuine flaws or weaknesses, either by you or others, because that can undermine your confidence and appeal. It's important to recognize your own insecurities, especially when interacting with women. Sometimes, they might throw a playful jab your way, either to test your reaction or simply to engage in lighthearted banter. In these moments, it's crucial to remain composed and not feel the need to defend yourself. Instead, try to turn the situation into a positive one. For instance, if you find yourself at the same height as her or perhaps a bit shorter, and she remarks, "I don't usually date guys who aren't taller than me when I wear heels," you can respond with a playful twist. You might say, "Well, that doesn't really matter when a couple is horizontal." This kind of bold response can elicit laughter, which is a great sign. If she laughs, it indicates that she appreciates your confidence and you've successfully navigated that little test. However, if she doesn't find it funny, it's not a big deal. Simply move on without dwelling on that perceived flaw, especially if it's something that makes you feel sensitive. At the same time, it's essential to avoid making her feel bad about herself. Just as her playful jab might have had a slight sting, you don't want to reciprocate with anything that could hurt her feelings. If she starts associating negative emotions with being around you, it won't foster attraction. Unless you're looking for someone who has emotional baggage, it's best to keep the atmosphere light and enjoyable. Always aim to laugh with her, not at her. While humor can be a great tool, be cautious not to overuse it. A good rule of thumb is to incorporate up to 3 humorous remarks during your interaction. You might start with a joke to break the ice when you first meet, sprinkle in another one during your conversation, and then finish with a lighthearted comment to leave her with a smile. Laughter releases feel-good endorphins, and when she associates those positive feelings with you, it can enhance attraction. To maintain a playful tension while avoiding any potential offense, consider using teasing as a strategy. I've discussed teasing in previous videos, but let's delve a bit deeper here. The goal is to playfully poke fun at her in a way that encourages her to engage back, but always keep it lighthearted. A good way to deliver a tease is to pair it with a compliment. Think of it as taking her on a little emotional roller coaster ride. Women often seek stimulation, and by tapping into various emotions during your interaction, you can keep her engaged. I'll share more about effective and ineffective compliments later, but as a general guideline, if you think a comment might hurt her feelings, it's best to avoid saying it. There's always something you can tease her about, regardless of the topic. For example, if she mentions having a sister, you could playfully ask, "Is she as attractive as you?" Or, depending on the context and your age, you might say, "Is she as beautiful as you?" This approach keeps the conversation fun and engaging. When engaging in conversation with a woman, it's important to sprinkle in genuine compliments about her, such as mentioning her intelligence or attractiveness. For instance, you might say, "Is she as smart as you?" or "Is she as cute as you?" These remarks should be lighthearted and sincere, aimed at making her feel good about herself. However, you can also playfully suggest that her sister might be even better, which can be a humorous way to show your interest in her. If she has a good sense of humor and is easygoing, she will likely laugh at your playful banter, understanding that your focus is on her, not her sister. If your delivery isn't perfect and she doesn't respond as you hoped, it's okay to laugh it off and acknowledge the awkwardness together. This shared moment can help ease any tension. Let's consider another example that many people can relate to. Suppose she inquires about your age. A fun way to respond is by exaggerating your age by about 30 years. For instance, if you're actually 37, you might jokingly say, "I'm 67, life has been tough." A wink can help convey that you're joking. If she asks for your real age again, it's important to provide an honest answer. Continuing to tease without revealing the truth can become tiresome. So if she presses for the truth, you could say, "Actually, I'm 37, but I don't feel a day over 35. The key here is to ensure your exaggeration is so obvious that she knows you're joking, otherwise, she might think you're being serious, which could lead to confusion. Now, let's move on to another effective flirting technique, touch. Appropriate physical contact can significantly enhance the chemistry between you and the woman you're interested in. Touching her lightly can help break down barriers and create a sense of intimacy. For example, when you're wrapping up your conversation, a gentle squeeze on her shoulder can convey your strength and confidence without being overbearing. Men typically have a stronger grip than women, which can be subtly communicated through such gestures. You might also playfully nudge her with your elbow while teasing her. However, be cautious about putting your arm around her unless it's tied to a lighthearted joke that feels natural in the moment. Remember, the goal is to create a fun and flirty atmosphere that encourages attraction rather than just friendship. When you put your arm around her, think of it as if she were a playful younger sister. It's crucial to remember that you should never touch her inappropriately, as this can be an immediate turnoff if she isn't ready or interested. At the start, it's wise to take a cautious approach. You want to avoid any potential trouble and ensure she feels comfortable. Allow her to take the lead a bit initially, and if you feel the moment is right, you can make a move. However, if she seems hesitant or pulls away, it's important to respect her boundaries and dial it back until she shows more interest. Your touch should generally be light, spontaneous, and fun, conveying that you are interested in her without coming off as overly intense or creepy. Now, let's discuss a tip that might catch you off guard: be cautious with sarcasm. If you discover that she shares your sarcastic sense of humor, that's fantastic. However, it's important to note that sarcasm can sometimes come across as mean-spirited, especially in the early stages of getting to know someone, whether it's directed at her or someone else. While a bit of tension in conversation can be engaging, sarcasm often carries deeper implications. If you're not naturally sarcastic or struggle with it, it's best to steer clear of it altogether. If sarcasm is your style, consider saving it for later, after you've established a playful, intriguing, and positive rapport with her. Perhaps it can be your final touch of humor for the evening, or something to bring up during your next interaction. Always remember that flirting doesn't have to be overly complex or dramatic. It can be straightforward and genuine. You don't need to implement every tip you come across. Instead, select the ones that feel most authentic to you and go with those. You can always expand your approach later if you feel adventurous. Now, let's talk about compliments. Many guys often miss the mark when it comes to giving compliments, especially when the woman is attractive. The common mistake is to focus solely on her appearance, just like many other men do. If you want to differentiate yourself from the crowd of guys she may have turned down for that reason and others, you should adopt a different strategy for complimenting her, one that resonates with her deeper emotions. If you're curious about how to do this effectively, be sure to check out my video on how to compliment women. If you found this information valuable or insightful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for being here, and take care.